Hello, everyone. My name is Cate, Hoedemaker, or you can just call me Siep, and I'm the Managing Director at the Maritime Battery Forum. The forum has the main purpose to promote battery-based value creation and make batteries a success within the global maritime industry. And what this means is that we provide a platform for knowledge sharing, sharing of best practices, experience, and building a global network. And we function as a arena for technology development and standardization. So why is all of this needed? Here you see a picture that I took last summer in Rotterdam in the Netherlands. And the first thing that you'll probably notice is the large cruise ship on it. This is actually one of the ships with the largest battery system in the world. It has a 10 megawatt hour battery system. And something that you probably didn't notice right away is the tiny water taxi in front of it. It's a little yellow dot probably on your screen. And this is actually a battery powered water taxi with a battery of about 59 kilowatt hours. So in this picture, you see the largest battery powered ship in the world. For now, this will soon be overtaken by another vessel, and the probably one of the smallest battery powered ships in the world. And this gives a good idea of everything that is happening in the maritime sector, and that if these two vessels can use batteries, then probably everything in between could also use batteries. So here you see some numbers from our ship register. We have a database with all the battery powered ships in the world. And here you see per year the number of ships that have been delivered with batteries installed on them. And as you can see, it's increasing quite a bit. 2021 was a bit, the numbers were a bit down because of COVID, but it's taking up again, very good. What you also see are the different types of ships using batteries. So the most common ship type using batteries are ferries. Ferries usually go from A to B. You know when they have to be where, you know how much time they will have for charging. So that makes them quite easy to electrify. But they are definitely not the only types of ships that are using batteries. The second largest group are actually the offshore supply vessels. So those are the ships that are working in the offshore oil and gas industry. But also all different kinds of cargo vessels, from tankers to container vessels, bulk carriers, they are sailing around with batteries at the moment as well. Besides that, we see a large increase in fishing vessels, a lot of yachts using batteries, workboats, tugboats, everything that you can imagine, it comes with batteries at the moment. And all these different types of ships, they have very different requirements for the batteries. So therefore, we also need different types of batteries in the maritime industry. So here you see the same numbers for every year, the number of ships with batteries delivered, but then with the type of battery that they use based on chemistry. So in the early days, we saw some lead acid and nickel cadmium batteries, but from 2010 is when the maritime industry started using lithium ion batteries. And NMC is definitely the preferred battery at the moment. But we see a recent increase of LFP and LTO batteries, just because they can be optimized for specific types of ships. And therefore it makes sense to use different types of batteries. What we also see is that the average installed capacity per ship is increasing a lot. So here you see per delivery year, the average installed battery capacity of all the ships delivered that year. And right now we're at about 1.4 megawatt hours. And please do not mind the number for 2024, because we only have 18 vessels in the database for now, for next year. And these are mainly the larger vessels that are announced at an earlier stage. So that's why it is this high. But the overall conclusion is that this is definitely increasing. And because the battery size is increasing so much, of course, we also have to focus a lot on safety of these large battery systems. If you then look at the different ship types and their average installed capacity, we see that a couple of ship types are really pushing the average forward. So ro-ro cargo ships, cruise ships, container ships are at this moment the ships that are using the most or the largest batteries. But as an example, I want to focus on tugboats. So tugs are the second category from the top. At this moment, all the tugs using batteries have an average installed capacity of about 1 megawatt hour. But most of the tugs sailing around now are hybrid tugs using relatively small battery systems combined with diesel engines. But there are also now a couple of fully battery powered tugs sailing around the world. And there are many more announced to be delivered in the coming years. And those fully battery powered tugs, they use batteries between 2 and 6 megawatt hours. So as we see this trend of electrification in tugboats, the average installed capacity will significantly rise for this ship type. And the same will happen for probably all of the other ship types as well. Here you see for each delivery year, the percentage of ships using batteries that are fully powered by batteries, hybrid or plug-in hybrids. And in the early days, you saw that when people were using batteries for ships, they were mainly focused on making fully battery powered ships. But only a small percentage of all the ships in the world can be powered by only batteries. So you need something else for additional energy. And in most cases, diesel engine or diesel generator. So more and more ships were becoming hybrid. Now, with more shore power availability around the world, the plug-in hybrids are gaining in numbers. And that's what we're expecting, that the more shore power will be available, the group of plug-in hybrid battery ships will increase and increase. And then at this moment, it's in most cases with a diesel engine in combination with a battery. But in the future, that will be instead of diesel, maybe hydrogen fuel cells or ammonia or methanol. All these different new solutions, they will benefit from having a battery on board. And if you have a battery on board, you can do more with it when you're actually able to charge it when you're at shore. Now here you see an overview of where all the battery powered ships are sailing. This overview only shows the vessels in our database with IMO numbers, so those are the seagoing vessels. All the inland vessels are not accounted for in this overview, but there's two things that you can see in this picture. One is that especially in Northern Europe and then mainly in Norway is where most of the battery powered ships are sailing. But that actually everywhere in the world you can find a battery powered ship. And that's a very good development. So if we're talking about maritime battery systems, we have different types of systems. So with all the different kinds of ships with different requirements, it sometimes you need a system that is more flexible in integrating it in smaller spaces, for instance. So we have some types of battery systems that are very flexible in the way that they can build up. For other ship types, it is more important that they are easily integrated together with the other systems on board, and therefore you can move to larger blocks that can be installed in large battery rooms. Another thing that is very important in the maritime industry is the safety of battery systems. If the battery in your EV goes into a thermal runaway or it catches fire, you can get out of your car and run away. On board of a ship, this is a bit more difficult. So what the maritime industry did to make sure that we can use batteries safe on board of ships is what we call thermal runaway propagation insulation. So if you have a battery module here, inside the battery module, you have the battery cells. And if one of these cells goes into thermal runaway, the highest safety level that we have in the maritime industry is that the thermal runaway of this single cell does not propagate to the other cells in the module. So we call it cell level thermal runaway propagation insulation. The second level of safety that we have that battery manufacturers can choose for is to have it at module level. So if one of the modules goes in thermal runaway, it can spread to all the cells inside the module, but it will not propagate from module to module. So then you have module level thermal runaway propagation insulation. And these are the two safety levels that a battery manufacturer in the maritime industry can design their system for. And this is all to make sure that if something goes wrong inside one of the battery modules, that you can ventilate all the gases coming from it outside of the system, outside of the ship, and that you do not that there's not a probability of all the batteries on board of your ship going into thermal runaway. Some trends that we are seeing in the maritime industry with batteries. One very popular is the swappable battery container. So here you see a picture from Zero Emission Services. They developed a swappable battery system inside a shipping container for an inland vessel transporting Heineken beers actually along the rivers in the Netherlands. And every time that they are in port, they take off the discharged battery containers and replace them with some fully charged new ones. This is not only applicable to inland vessels, and many of the battery manufacturers in the maritime industry are now looking at how can we use this idea of a swappable battery container for all different types of batteries. Then, as I already said, we see increasing battery sizes. And now the average installed battery capacity this year will be around 1.4 megawatt hours, but we already see some news reports about vessels looking at 60, 70 megawatt hours. I probably should have used a different picture for this. I recently heard that BC Ferries is also considering significant large batteries for their future ferries. And this will completely change the battery industry in the maritime sector. What we also see is that the possibility to charge your ships offshore is becoming more popular. So especially in the offshore wind industry, where you already produce the electricity where you're working with your ship, it would be optimal to plug in your ship whenever you're not working at the moment, for instance. So you can shut off all the generators for your hotel loads, or perhaps if these types of ships have large batteries, you only have to charge them to reach the offshore wind park and to come back, but you don't need to have batteries big enough to sail both to the wind park and back, which will reduce the cost for these batteries significantly. So some key points to remember is that all ships can potentially benefit from a battery system. In some cases, it will be with fully battery powered ships, but most cases it will be something hybrid and preferably plug-in hybrid. And then now hybrids are using diesel engines mainly, but in the future we'll see different types of technologies working together with batteries to make sure that the maritime industry decarbonizes. The availability of shore power will increase the use of batteries. So being able to charge your batteries directly from the grid will have the most benefit for using electricity on board of your ship. And having the availability to shore power also opens up new use cases for batteries on board of ships. So where a hybrid ship will have a relatively small battery, when you move to plug-in hybrids, you see a significant increase of the battery size of those kind of ships. And as these battery sizes are increasing, we are focusing even more on safety. As I said, the maritime battery systems are designed to contain thermal runaways on a cell or module level. And as battery systems are getting larger and larger, this is getting more important because you do not want to have 60 megawatt hours of batteries going up in flames all at once. So one final message from me, if you would like to get more information on maritime batteries, we organize a Maritime Batteries 101. It's our introduction course to maritime batteries, where we take you through the basics of lithium-ion batteries, what makes a maritime battery system, some key aspects to onboard battery safety, and an introduction to sizing and selecting of batteries for your ship. We will have edition of the Maritime Batteries 101 on the 21st of April in Vancouver. So please have a look at our website or send me an email if you would like to join us. Thank you very much. That was it.